Here's how I made this Palm Sunday themed sign. I used a palm printed board, these spring attachments, so that I had room between the actual text and the board itself so I could put the palm leaves in between them. Next, I marked out the position of where the springs needed to go in order to hold the text or the name sign in place. And when I stuck them down, I went ahead to place the palm leaves which I had over the board to cover it as much as I could. I only had 8 artificial palm leaves, but that was enough for the foundation that I needed to build this on. With the palm leaves in place, I cable tied the bases or the stems together just to hold them so it was like a giant fan basically. So with the stems all tied together, we had a few of them overhanging. So I then bent them out of the way so that I could have a flat base because I needed my sign to sit on the floor. Having done that, I then went ahead and poked a couple of holes in the board so that I could tie the actual palm leaves to the board itself. Just for safety, I do recommend that you do not do this with your hand under the board. So please make sure that you don't hurt yourself during this process. I poked 2 holes so that the cable tie could basically be threaded from the back to the front, and you'll see how I've done that in a second. After tying the base of the palms to the board and stood up the sign, I noticed that some of the leaves were hanging downwards. So I poked a couple of holes, used some floral wire, and you can use cable ties for this too, to tie those hanging leaves back in place, just so that we maintained that fan effect. With all the palms now in place, I went ahead and stuck on the passion sign in front of the palms using the same spring adhesive attachment. And that looked pretty good. The following morning, we picked up some fresh palm leaves to fill in the gaps, and this honestly was the most fun part for me. I went ahead and basically just slotted them into the gaps just to fill in any holes because I didn't want the board behind it to show. Even though I printed it in the palm leaves, I wanted the whole thing to feel very 3D and realistic. It was Palm Sunday after all. Here's the back view of the sign, guys. With its strut stands, I put a couple of bricks just to weigh it down. You can also see the floral wire and cable ties I used to tie the artificial palms in place. And here is the finished work, guys. I absolutely loved creating this. I thought it looks amazing, and I hope you do too. I think you can do this with all kinds of flowers like pampas grass and things like that. Happy styling!